Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Tucker Tuesday. What's going on out there, chat? Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's having a lovely day out there today. Sorry about that. How we doing? What's the hips? What's the haps? How is everyone? A little bit of a later start than normal today. I apologize. I was doing a thing with the thing and the thing. A Pence ad. What an opener. No, we're going to watch Tucker Carlson quite literally destroy Mike Pence. Like, it's just brutal. At least the clip we watched Friday was pretty bad. Pretty bad. We're not going to spend too much time dillying and or dallying. What we are going to do is we're going to get right into this because we did start a little bit late. So I would ask everybody out there, kindly smash the like button, share it out on your social media. If I see it, I'll retweet it. And should you feel so inclined, please consider hitting up the Streamlabs. We are doing Christmas in July, which is it's going to be a lot of fun. I'd like to bring back the Christmas donations from time to time, and yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of them I don't remember. Apparently, there's a few new ones down below that I straight up just don't remember making. So that'll be cool if you guys feel like unlocking some of that. And we are going to get right to
2024 Republican presidential candidate and former Vice President Mike Pence spoke with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson at the 2023.
I'm surprised they didn't call him a right-wing firebrand, Tucker Carlson.
Family Leadership Summit in Des Moines, Iowa. Topics include the events of January 6, 2021, and religious liberty.
Yeah, let's skip.
Easy. I got on stage. There was no Tucker. So,
hey, Gutenberg, how you doing, man?
When one of us doesn't have a job, it's me.
No, nobody can time you out, JK. You are untimeoutable, sir. Cult of Curl starting us off. Woo! Thank you very much, Cult. Nicely done.
That would actually be two of us, Tucker.
Are we in a recession?
You know, I think there's a real possibility that it's already hit parts of the country.
I think we might be in one in some parts of the country. Thanks, Mike. You fucking solid answer there, bud.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Joe Biden comes into office, and along with Democrat majorities in the House and Senate, they launched a gusher of spending, $2 trillion in unnecessary spending that initiated the worst inflation in 40 years. They launched a war on energy. They dismantled all of our successful policies at the border.
Yeah, because, you know, your administration played no part in that, right?
Created the worst border crisis in history. And the reason I'm running for president of the United States is because I know we can do better. We can bring this nation back. We can restore the American economy. We can secure our border. And we can stand for the God-given liberties that have always made this country strong and true and great.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you. And we can certainly do better, that's for sure. So I have to ask you, since you were a witness to and in some unintentional way a participant in one of the most widely covered events in American history, January 6th, what was that? Do you think that was an insurrection?
He does seem a little bit out of breath, right? At least when I struggle breathe, I go back here and do it.
Well, first, can I just take a moment just to say thank you to the family leader?
Do you think January 6th was an insurrection? I'm gonna talk about some other stuff real quick. Thanks. Over there. Yeah.
To Bob Vanderplatz and the whole team here. And to our friends at Blaze TV, including my old friend Glenn Beck. We're standing here on a historic day in Iowa, when in just a few short hours...
Look at Tucker's like, yeah, he's just not answering. That's pretty interesting. That's fun.
Governor Kim Reynolds would take to this stage and sign into law historic protections for the unborn. And I think all the members of the family leader here in Iowa prayed and worked and fought to bring us to this day. And it's an honor to be with you all. It really is.
I'm looking over here at the at the smaller dono list, And I'm like, what the fuck is oh no? What is VEGETA Time to Kill? What is Shrekmas? Like I don't know what half of this shit is.
Now, as to that day, let me just say, all I know for sure, having lived through it at the Capitol.
Okay, AOC, calm down.
Is that it was a tragic day. I've never used the word insurrection, Tucker, over the last 2 years, but it was a riot that took place at the Capitol that day. I saw firsthand where they'd evacuated us down to the loading dock below the Senate chamber, police officers that, as the day wore on, were streaming through 150 law enforcement officers that were assaulted. Obviously, the tragic loss of life ransacking the Capitol that occurred. But
is he going to say whose life was lost? Because there weren't any cops killed. So is he going to say who died? I'm very curious. Because for some reason, and I think we can all just kind of like put it together as to why, Ashley Babbitt's name is blacklisted among these people.
I really do believe that a day of tragedy became a triumph of freedom. And I'll always believe that by God's grace, I did my duty that day under the Constitution of the United States of America.
Which was what exactly? What was your duty? Duty.
And our institutions held.
Luna, Sheru, GTA. We got a ton of people out there. Ham and beans. What's going on, guys? Sorry I didn't say hi to you earlier. Just we had to jump into it.
When you say the tragic loss of life, who are you referring to?
Well, obviously, Ashley Babbitt would come to mind immediately.
What do you think of the fact that
Oh, I am genuinely shocked he said that.
was shot?
Well, I just think it was a tragic moment.
It was a tragic moment. This tragic moment.
Without question. But I have to tell you that seeing people assaulting law enforcement officers, smashing windows, breaking into the Capitol
Yeah, assault on law enforcement officers didn't really happen.
building, it infuriated me. And it's very likely that the restraint that was shown by law enforcement officers saved lives that day.
The restraint shown by law enforcement officers saved lives. The restraint shown by law enforcement officers what the fuck does that even mean? Do you think cops should have just been walking around going, hey, you're not supposed to be in here, pew, 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 pew. Hey, what are you doing? Pew, 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 pew.
But I think it's important that we hold those accountable who perpetrated acts of violence.
If you are scare-roused, not really sure what to tell you there, bud. Just enjoy that confused boner.
Violence.
And if you out there are looking for a confused boner, I'm sure one of my Christmas donations would give you one. I don't remember what they are, but I'm sure they will. I remember a CATFISH one. See, these are all brand new to me. Like, for the very first time.
And vandalism in our nation's capital. But I'm still waiting for equal vigor and equal prosecutions to be brought on those that brought hundreds of BLM riots to cities across America.
Amen.
I mean, the truth is, you know, we don't make progress in this country by walking away from the rule of law. We uphold the rule of law, and we apply it equally and fairly.
Man, his breathing is really bothering me. We're putting out 1.25.
I think that holding those accountable that rioted at the Capitol that day is right and proper, but I also believe
it's right and proper to hold the guy who put his feet up on Pelosi's desk in solitary confinement for 6 months. That's right and proper. Huh?
that people that engaged in the hundreds of riots over the summer of 2020 literally burned out family businesses and communities, and also cost lives,
yes,
must be held to account.
Amen. So we spent, when the BLM riots happened and the riot in front of the White House that injured more law enforcement personnel than January 6th, we spent a lot of time talking about why those rioters were mad. They were mad about systemic racism and the death of George Floyd, et cetera. Why do you think the people who swarmed the Capitol on January 6th were mad? And why haven't we talked about that?
Well, first off,
that's a great question. Why do you think the people who swarmed the Capitol on January 6th were mad, and why haven't you talked about it?
I would tell you that I think the January 6th committee was a partisan committee in the Congress of the United States, and it failed its historic mission of bringing the facts forward.
Yep.
And I know your commitment to bringing all the facts to the American people, Tucker, and I know we're grateful for that. And the truth of the matter is, as some members of the staff of the January 6th committee said after it adjourned, they spent all their time focused so much on one individual and on placing blame that they spent very little time focusing on law enforcement failures that happened that day and intelligence failures that happened that day. And I hold to the view that we can never let this happen again. We can
no right-wing protests ever again.
Never allow the capital of the greatest nation on earth to be subject to a riot for any purpose, for any motivation. And for that,
yeah, you can't do that. That's a violation of the First Amendment, full stop. You cannot go we should not have a protest in the Capitol. That's illegal.
For that reason, we need to understand why law enforcement that day was not better equipped, better prepared, where the intelligence failures were. And I believe that in time we'll have those answers.
Amen. But I wonder, though, again, about motives, since these were, and I'm not excusing any act of violence ever anywhere, including on January 6th. However, they were American citizens. Most of them didn't commit acts of violence, and they were really mad. And they were mad because they thought the election was unfair.
Right.
And I wonder why more time hasn't been spent by either party reassuring Americans that our elections are real. That
Brandon, ask me what kind of tree I have.
No.
Brandon, ask me what kind of tree I have.
No.
Just, Brandon, ask me what kind of tree. It's a Chris Pine.
Just one more real quick. Or maybe not. Okay, thanks, Streamlabs. Appreciate it, buddy. It's very good working over there, Streamlabs. Thank you. It's fine. All right.
Brandon, ask me what kind of tree I have.
No.
Brandon, ask me what kind of tree I have.
No.
Just, Brandon, ask me what kind of tree. It's a Chris Pine. Brandon, ask me what kind of tree.
4688 Dono unlocked. Hey, Sin, can I get an advanced liming for Friday with this Dono? I know it's not 45, but I wanted to see what it does. Yes, you may. Thank you very much, Fustonia. Hopefully, I should have some type of John Wicking Dono by Friday. Mail it. Thank you, Fustonia. Knocking us up to 10% to goal. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated.
that all votes are counted, that the electronic voting machines, which no one seemed to trust 10 years ago, now are infallible, why mail-in voting is a good thing. Like, why doesn't anybody try to reassure the public that the mechanics of voting are legit? And are they? Do you think the last election was fair?
Well, as I said on January 6th in my communication to the Congress, and I've said many times since, there were irregularities in the 2020 election. There's no question. There were about a half a dozen states that changed the rules of elections in the name of COVID.
Yep.
And that undermined.
Fustoni says 10% to goal already. Yes, 10% to goal already. Almost 11%. I don't think that math. Would you shut the fuck up? I don't think that math is right, but it's fine. Keldrick, the intelligence failures were in Congress that day, not doing their jobs. I mean, Pelosi said she wanted extra security. We all know what happened. I think it's just time to hold people accountable for what we know happened. Thank you, Keldrick. Oh, guys, we are flying to that goal. Look at that. And I, for one, I don't even think this needs to be said, but I am a great proponent of yeeting the rhinos. Why Christmas donos? Have you never heard of Christmas in July?
Public confidence in the outcome.
And it gives me a little bit of time to rework the regular ones. Some are going to go, some going to put some new ones in. So I got work to do.
Of our elections. Now, at the end of the day, we brought more than 60 lawsuits, states engaged in recounts. And when states ultimately certified and courts upheld those changes in virtually every instance, and ultimately we were able to determine that the changes, there was no evidence that the changes had changed the outcome of the election in any way.
No, I'm British. What, you don't have July in Britain?
I knew that my duty was clear that day. But candidly, as I've said before,
the thing is, he's hitting the right notes to a degree. He's just insufferably condescending while doing it. He's not even hitting the right notes. He's just saying things. They mean nothing.
You know, President Trump's words that day were reckless. I believe whatever his intentions in that moment, it endangered me and my family. And
you should do a dono poll stream. I thought about it, and the last one was pretty good, but I already have some stuff in the works, so I'm gonna have to executive decision a lot of this stuff this time.
Everyone that was at the Capitol that day. I believe history will hold him accountable for that, just as the law will hold everyone that engaged in acts of violence.
But may I just get, to the rest of us who weren't there, who were just participating or trying to in our democracy, 10 years ago, Democrats said, look, electronic voting machines can never be secure. And of course, that's obvious.
And yes, they can't be secure, but when Biden wins, they're incredibly secure. But if a right-winger wins, they're not secure at all.
Obviously true. Anything electronic can be subverted. Real countries don't use electronic voting machines. Are you confident that a country with electronic voting machines, ours, can have an election that you're participating in that everyone can trust?
Well,
anybody who says they are fully aware and secure and confident in the mail-in voting system, ask them to put $500 in an envelope and mail it to themselves. See how quickly they want to do it. Also, you could put $500 into Streamlabs and send it to me so I can figure out what the fuck I made into the $500 dono. Either one works. Oh, and we have Christmas Pinky Comma songs and new Pinky songs. We could do double songs.
I believe we can, but I welcome the fact that since 2020, Republican-led states around the country have enacted election integrity reforms. I'm somebody that believes that, and Indiana was the first state to do this. I'm somebody that believes that you ought to be required to give a picture ID when you go in to vote. We ought to have voter ID in every state in America.
Yeah, we should have voter ID. Yes, absolutely. That should be a thing.
But with regard to voting machines, I would tell you we had them in Indiana, but in Indiana and elsewhere, they produced.
Woo. Hey, Sin, dono ID for you. Have Tucker put into Jaime Lannister's body and call him the Kingslayer. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm going to write that one down, actually. That's not bad.
Paper ballots. Recounts were taken in states around the country. And I think it's absolutely essential that we do everything in our power to restore public confidence in the one person, one vote principle at the heart of this republic.
Why not just get rid of electronic voting machines and call it a day, and then we don't have to debate it?
Look at him, he's like, I can't do that. The company that owns it is... God damn. The company that owns it is part of my supporters.
Well, I would certainly be open to that.
Is there a downside?
But what I believe, Tucker, is that states govern.
I would be open to it, but if you ask me again, I'm going to get up and walk off the stage.
Elections. States ought to conduct our elections. In fact, our founding fathers debated this at the Constitutional Convention. It was one of the reasons why I believe that my duty was very clear on that day. Despite the fact that my former running mate continues to hold the view that I had the right to overturn the election.
Are these people incapable of saying Trump? Like, are they just not able to say the word President Trump, Donald Trump?
I had no right to overturn the election. The presidency belongs to the American people and the American people alone. I had no right to reject or return votes that day. And Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024. But this principle of state control of elections is absolutely vital. I mean, we've got to, one of the very first bills that Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden brought to the floor of the Congress was a bill to nationalize our elections. It's what essentially brought me off the sidelines. It was the first thing I spoke publicly against after I left my role as Vice President of the United States, because you never want Washington, D.C., or any one person in Washington, D.C. deciding our elections. And the truth is that one of the ways that we've governed the integrity of our elections is by letting states like Iowa, like Indiana, every state across the country to be able to conduct our elections.
Oh, what happened, Onion?
So, if states were interested in going to all paper ballots.
Ugh. It gave me that weird tingly feeling in between my fucking shoulder blades. Ugh. Daryl O, what does this one do? Apparently it's a jump scare. Jump scare elf. That's exactly what it's called. Can we get a big thank you to Jump Scare Elf? Or to Daryl O for the Jump Scare Elf. Ugh. At 5867. Oh. Hey.
I would cheer them on. If states were willing to use, with strong integrity, continue to use electronic machines, I'll cheer them on. But
no states
should govern elections in America now.
Notice how we snuck that in there? If states wanted to, I don't know, keep using electronic voting machines, it's perfectly fine. I'll cheer them on. What the fuck?
Now and always.
I think it seems like a good idea. It's a constitutional principle. That seems right to me. But
was that one a little rough on the headphone users? I'll go turn it down. I'm sorry.
But in point of fact, no state, including ones with Republican governors,
yes, very Sideshow Bob sounds.
has really done anything about election integrity. They have not restored elections to what they were in, say, 1992, where you have paper ballots, you have voting on the day of the election, and you have voter ID. Like, these are super simple, but no one's done it. Why?
Well, I think there's plenty of opportunity to advance election integrity reforms around the country. 45. As long as we don't intrude on the independence of states to conduct elections and to manage their elections, there are ways the federal government could provide resources and encourage reforms. And if I'm president of the United States, I promise you, we'll fight every day to restore public confidence in the elections in this country.
Yeah, no, why don't you expose the faults instead of denying that there are any? Heard something beating on the side of the house, went to check, a little bastard was trying to tear the siding off. Yelled at it, and the fucker started growling and charging at me, yapping, Jesus. Fucking, yeah, Chihuahua, little shit dogs. Yuck. Thank you, Daryl. Very generous. Really appreciate it. Knocks us up to about almost 25%. Yeah, about 25% to goal. Thank you.
So you've issued thank you for that. You've issued a bunch of public statements about your views on foreign policy, which are definitely within the mainstream of Republican views as far as I can tell.
Can we agree never play that unless it's for Drunkle? I mean, we'll be on a AAA tomorrow. If someone wants to make Drunkle shit himself, you know exactly how to do it.
You recently met with Zelensky, according to news reports. And I'm wondering...
You're not a Pence fan? No, not really.
If during that meeting, as a prominent Christian leader, which you are in addition to your political views, you broached the question of his treatment of Christians within Ukraine. The Zelensky government has raided convents, arrested priests, has effectively banned a denomination, a Christian denomination, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church within Ukraine, has persecuted Christians. And I wonder if you raised that with him.
I did raise the issue when we were there.
Does anybody believe that? Yes, I did call Zelensky out on this. Bullshit, Wankstain, the fuck you did.
And I raised it with the leader of the Orthodox Church when I was visiting Kyiv, and asked him about concerns.
Kyiv, when I was visiting Kyiv.
About religious liberty. He assured me that the Zelensky government in Ukraine was respecting religious liberty, even while recognizing that there were very small elements of the Russian Orthodox Church that were...
Okay, everything you're about to say is justification and I want to say excuse for why he is not respecting the religion.
Were being utilized for the purpose of advancing the Russian cause in Ukraine, and that they were taking steps to hold them to account. But the leader of the church at St. Michael's in Kyiv told me personally that he believed that the Zelensky government was respecting religious liberty. And I must tell you, other than the sanctity of life, there's no higher priority in my life than preserving the freedom of religion.
Pence is such a fucking weasel on this. Pence kind of strikes me as like a weasel full stop. Not necessarily on just one issue, just how he lives his life. Like I said, Pence has paid opposition. Yeah, he says he talked to one unnamed Christian leader. He didn't talk to fucking anybody. He's lying.
in America and championing religious liberty around the world.
I'm confused. On this question, it's very clear that the Zelensky government has arrested priests for having views they disagree with. That's not consistent with religious liberty. It's an attack on it, and we're funding it. And I'm just wondering how is it, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, but I sincerely wonder how a Christian leader could support the arrest of Christians for having different views.
Well, what I can tell you is I asked the Christian leader in Kiev if that was in fact happening, and he assured me that it was not. People.
I asked the government if they were doing this, and the government said no, and I believe the government. Goodbye.
We're not being persecuted for their religious beliefs. Now,
look at Tucker. He's like, what? You're not listening. You're not listening to me.
He said
let me take a break here. I know we disagree on this strongly, but I
the facial expressions Tucker has. Look at Are you sure? Uh-oh, I sense a disturbance in the force. I don't like the sound of that.
Agree on this strongly, but I respect your right to your opinion on Ukraine, and I trust you.
Wow. What a fucking weasel. What a slippery little shit. I talked to one person, and him and I agreed that this isn't happening. And I know we have a difference of opinion. Well, hey, wait a minute. No, they are actively arresting people. This is something that is documented. I know we have a difference of opinion.
You respect mine. Look,
I respect your opinion. Oh, my God. Okay, you know what? I'm just not going to say anything. I'm going to let this exchange play out. Hold on. I'm pulling it back.
Utilized for the purpose of advancing the Russian cause in Ukraine, and that they were taking steps to hold them to account. But the leader of the church at St. Michael's in Kiev told me personally that he believed that the Zelensky government was respecting religious liberty. And I must tell you, other than the sanctity of life, there's no higher priority in my life than preserving the freedom of religion in America and championing religious liberty around the world.
I'm confused. On this question, it's very clear that the Zelensky government has arrested priests for having views they disagree with. That's not consistent with religious liberty. It's an attack on it, and we're funding it. And I'm just wondering how is it, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, but I sincerely wonder how a Christian leader could support the arrest of Christians for having different views.
Well, what I can tell you is I asked the Christian leader in Kiev if that was in fact happening, and he assured me that it was not. People were not being persecuted for their...
Oh, so he's just repeating it over and over again. But they said it's not happening, so it's not happening. They said it's not happening, so it's not happening. Hey, Tucker, they said it's not happening. It's not happening. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Guys, I know we just got to 25% to goal, but I think we need to smash this up because fucking yeet these rhinos into the... Actually, you know what? Hold on, I'm going to... Is it this screen? Yes. Hold on.
Religious beliefs.
This is genuinely infuriating me. Hey, I asked him and he said it's not happening. He said it's not happening. Why are you asking me this again, Tucker? He said it's not happening. Yeah, that'll work. Yeet the rhinos into the sun.
Now, let me take a break here. I know we disagree on this strongly, but I respect your right to your opinion on Ukraine, and I trust...
I respect your right to your opinion. Mr. Vice President, this is a thing that is documented as happening. I understand that's your opinion. No, there's actual, like, proof of this? Yes, I understand your opinion. What the fuck? The pop-up donos were easier? What? They are pop-up donos. What do you mean?
You'll respect mine. Look, I've been to Ukraine now twice. My wife and I traveled into Ukraine a month after...
Ukraine. He said Ukraine, haha.
The initiation of hostilities. We traveled then with a group called Samaritan's Purse, providing Christian relief.
Yeah, bringing your purse there, the American purse, to hand out as you see fit.
To the millions of Ukrainians, women and children of every age that had to flee that country in the face of the unprovoked.
Yes, women and children. It's just women and children, guys.
Russian invasion that began a year and a half ago. I did return.
Unprovoked? Unprovoked. So America wasn't working in tandem with Ukraine to try to get them into NATO, and Putin did not say in no uncertain terms, if you try to join NATO, we're fucking taking you over. That didn't happen?
Took an 11-hour train ride into Kyiv. Also, again, with Samaritan's Purse, we not only met with government leaders, but we met with Christian relief workers. We're literally rebuilding homes of people in small towns, little hamlets, that a year ago were being shelled by Russian tanks. All the people in that community were just sitting in their homes. I mean, the truth is, what I saw was not just evidence of war, but I saw evil. And I believe that it is in the interest of the United States of America to continue to give the Ukrainian military the resources that they need to repel the Russian invasion.
You like Full Metal Jacket? I have a Full Metal Jacket Christmas, 2 Full Metal Jacket Christmas donuts, actually.
And restore their
tornado sirens. Uh-oh, Luna, be safe, man.
Sovereignty.
Would you, may I ask, would...
Oh, boy. Did you... I shit it all over that. Hold on. I'm gonna let this play through. The crowd started booing him. That like ratio is despicable, guys. Smash that like button. Share it out on your social media. If I see it, I'll retweet it. If you are so inclined, please hit up the Streamlabs. We need to eat these rhinos directly into the fucking sun. I couldn't put that all in the bar, but you know what I mean. We're about 25% to goal. Every little bit helps, and if we can unlock one of those donos down below, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Relief workers. We're literally rebuilding homes of people in small towns, little hamlets, that a year ago were being shelled by Russian tanks. All the people in that community were just sitting in their homes. I mean, the truth is, what I saw was not just evidence of war, but I saw evil. And I believe that it is in the interest of the United States of America to continue to give the Ukrainian military the resources that they need to repel the Russian invasion and restore their sovereignty.
Would you, may I ask, would you be, and
oh, the booze. Ooh, No. Arrow Shogun for 5. Pence is a liar. Zelensky banned Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Not the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of Ukraine. They are different. And the former is under a Russian patriarch. Not a clever lie. Now I have negative respect for Pence for dissing the Orthodoxy. Hey, man. The facts are right there. Why Pence thinks he could just go, no, I don't respect your opinion. Well, I'm basing this off of actual facts. It's your opinion. It's fine. What the fuck?
I believe you have a good faith position on this, and we have disagreements on it. But I want to just, I can't let you elide over the question of the treatment of Christians. And
I know. I heard
and
that
would
again.
you be?
It's the Aries Spears meme. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
Well, no, but hold on. Would you be
problem is you don't
willing?
accept my answer. I just told you that I asked the religious leader in Kiev if it was happening. You asked me if I raised the issue, and I did.
And I'm saying
I also raised it with the
incorrect.
Ukrainians, and I was told that there are religious leaders who have been working with the Russian military that is murdering people by the thousands.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, whatever you say. Are you sure, Grandpa?
Tucker, look.
Yeah, all these people think Putin just... It wasn't Aries Spears, wasn't it? Hannibal, god damn it. Fuckle snuck for $1 do. Anyone care to explain why it's America's duty to protect the corrupt shithole aside from the payouts the elites get from it? No, that's it. That's literally it. That is it. Full stop. They just get a lot of money. Damn it, you're right. It was Hannibal. Hold on. Oh, fuck. It was Hannibal Buress. God damn it.
Wait, but hold on. Don't you think?
Let me explain to you what I think our national interest is there.
I would think you would have greater concern for religious liberty in Ukraine. And I'm surprised.
I told you I raised the issue of religious liberty.
No, you spoke
I know it was on the Eric Andre show. I should have known it was Hannibal Buress.
to one person who's clearly on one side of it, and there are many, many news reports that are not disputed by anybody that
Pence is getting mad that he's getting called on his bullshit because he's used to. I had to unfollow some people on Twitter today that were like taking pictures with Brian Crenshaw. What was his name? Is it Brian? Bradley? Crenshaw. They were taking pictures with Crenshaw and doing all this shit. I was just like, no, you know what? If this is what you're excited about, I don't want to even read what your opinion is on Republican stuff. Like, I'm just not interested. Just not interested.
Many clergy have been arrested in Ukraine, and I'm
Dan Crenshaw, whatever. And fucking one-eye stupid guy.
merely saying, I may not agree with their views, I'm not Russian Orthodox, but you can't arrest clergy for having different views, period. Because if you do, you violate the basic tenet of religious
I won't, look, I want to be clear with you. I won't stand by it. I won't stand for it.
Yeah, one-eye McCain. One-eye McCain. We can call Pence gray scumbag. Crenshaw can be one-eyed scumbag. And so on and so forth.
If people are being persecuted for their religious beliefs, I won't stand for it. In any country with which country.
No, I unfollowed. One of the people I unfollowed was just Pearly things. That Pearl Davis chick. I was like, nope.
Our nation is supporting, or our allies are supporting.
Yes.
Period, paragraph. But let me say to you, our national interest in Ukraine, I believe, is born of the fact that I spent 10 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee in the House of Representatives.
Then you think you might have some better understanding of the stuff you're saying right now. You would think that if you had 10 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee that you would, I don't know, understand what religious liberty means.
And 4 years as vice president. I've met Vladimir Putin. Let me tell you, if Vladimir Putin overruns Ukraine, I have no doubt
that none of us will notice the next day, and literally nothing of value will be lost except the money being sent to the big guy.
that in a short period of time, that Russian military is going to cross a border of a NATO country.
Okay, then worry about it then. Why the fuck does it matter if they do it in Ukraine, a non-NATO country? A piece of land, by the way, that did belong to Russia. Getting me triggered.
That our armed forces will have to go and defend. You know.
Okay, what? So why don't we worry about it then? Hasn't Ukraine fucked up enough for us?
I started the day this morning at Rosie's in Zionsville, Indiana with my son.
Yeah, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Why are we worried about what's going to happen when Russia beats Ukraine? Why are we worried about that? Why? What might happen? Maybe. Armed NATO countries are in NATO for a reason. Ukraine is not in NATO for a reason. Like, this just seems like it makes sense.
Captain Mike.
Well, we have to stop it here before it maybe happens over here, and then we'll have to do exactly what we're doing now then, but then might not happen, but now it does. I need money. Me too, motherfucker. And if you want to help me get that money, you could hit up that Streamlabs listed down below.
J. Pence in the United States Marine Corps.
That was a good show.
My son's a fighter pilot. My son-in-law is a Navy fighter pilot. I'll tell you.
Yeah, which is interesting why you want to send them to go die for Joe Biden's money so bad.
What? I never want to see American armed forces in Ukraine. I want to give the Ukrainian military what they need to fight and repel the Russian invasion. I think we need to stop them there so that our men and women in uniform are never called upon to stop that Russian military when they cross a border that we would have to defend.
So you
please, Tucker, say you're going to say something like I just
would
said.
oppose Ukraine entering NATO? Because that would, of course, immediately require us to go to war with Russia, which you oppose.
I said very clearly that...
See, notice how he didn't say, yes, I would oppose that.
Ukrainian entrance into NATO should depend on when the war is over. And I made that clear with President Zelensky that was my view. And what I understood in speaking with him was he understood that it needed to be conditional. If we were to allow Ukraine to join NATO today, then the obligations of the NATO Treaty on Mutual Defense would initiate immediately, and we'd be pulled into a conflict. I don't want that to happen. But I do believe...
Really? Really? Because you could have fooled me. Because it sounds an awful lot like that's exactly what you want to happen.
That after the war is won and over, that welcoming Ukraine into NATO, embracing them with open arms in the West is in the interest of our security and of our nation in the long term. And let me also say, I think this fight is also...
How?
So I think this fight is also about China, Tucker. I know we don't talk about that enough. I know a lot of people say, and you may hear from some other candidates in this race, that we ought to be focused on China. Well, I gave the first major speech in our administration, changing administration policy on China. We called them out. We imposed tariffs. We rebuilt our military. I mean, in a very real sense, we were tougher on China than any administration in the modern era had ever been.
Jesus Christ,
stay on point, old man. By giving the Ukrainian military what they need to repel the invasion, we will also send a deafening message to China that America and the free world will not tolerate China's military ambitions in the Asia Pacific, or they're in.
Oh, after this, I want to tell you what happened about the LASIK stuff after this video.
Or their intention that becomes more clear by the day against Taiwan or any other place. But I really do believe peace comes through strength, and the United States of America needs to continue to project strength. But let me say one last thing.
We've run out of ammunition, so we're sending them cluster bombs. So because we've sent our ammunition to Ukraine, which has not yet won the war.
Cluster bombs, by the way, being a war crime. So Joe Biden is actively committing a war crime.
Or whatever that means. No one has defined it. But isn't that prima facie evidence that we have become weaker militarily by our support from Ukraine, or how am I missing something?
Well,
we're out of ammunition, so we're sending cluster bombs.
Well, first off, since Joe Biden took office, he's been working to cut military spending. And frankly, the recent debt ceiling deal that was done, if they don't pass all their 13 appropriations bills, will result in a 1% cut in our military spending after inflation in 2025. Look, China is floating a new battleship every month in the Pacific. We don't.
Is it, though? Because the last battleship we saw was made out of, like, tough stuff. Whatever that foam insulation spray is.
We need to rebuild our military. We need to build a military strong enough to meet the challenges America will face in the 21st century. And as President of the United States, I'll do that. Amen. I promise you.
But last question on Ukraine, though. The Pentagon says that because of the munitions and the material we have sent to Ukraine, we're very low in our stockpiles. Is that a concern to you?
Yeah.
Not mine. Great stuff, thank you.
On the 155 artillery. And I have no reason to disbelieve that. Look, it's the answer, though, is not to shrink from America's role as leader of the free world. The answer is to invest in our national defense. I really do believe that. Look, remember, in a year and a half, and again, we have a strong disagreement on it.
Well, I'm not sure we do.
That's okay. Well, that'd be great if we didn't. But let me say to you, we've made real progress there. Look, a year and a half ago, Russia had the second most powerful military in the world. Today, they have the second most powerful military in Ukraine.
Does anybody even remotely believe that? Does anybody even a little bit believe that? Does anybody genuinely think that Russia is losing to Ukraine? Pull the foreign funding from America and Britain and NATO and see how quickly that fucking falls apart. It would be... Zelensky would be on a private jet to the Cayman Islands within minutes.
All right? That's progress. That's progress. And that's a result of what the United States and our allies have invested. But let me say one thing about Joe. Can I say one thing about Joe Biden on this? Okay. And I've been critical of him. Look, our administration came in, and the Obama-Biden administration had refused.
Yeah, it was very pre-rehearsed.
Refused to give military support and resources to Ukraine.
I bet that sounded a lot better in his head than it actually sounded out loud.
We ended that. We started providing Javelin missiles. I'll never forget standing in the woods a couple of weeks ago in a little town called Moshe, where the soldier told me about when the Russian tanks approached and how many soldiers they lost in the first 24 hours. And then the colonel looked at me and smiled and said, and then the Javelin missiles arrived. And I said, we sent you those Javelin missiles. And he said, yes, sir, you did. I mean, we provided arms.
Does he realize that this doesn't make him look good? Like at all?
Arms to Ukraine so they would be better equipped for this moment.
But me ask a question. I'm sorry.
Joe Biden cut off military spending when he came in, and even after that heartless, unprovoked invasion, which Joe Biden actually said, we don't know what we'd do if it was a small invasion. I mean, he signaled incredible weakness, especially after that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. And all along the way, the Biden administration has been slow in providing military support. Make no mistake about this. We promised them 33 Abrams tanks in January. I heard again 2 weeks ago in Ukraine, they still don't have them. We've been telling them we'll train their F-16 pilots, but now they're saying maybe January we'll let somebody transfer some jets.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, have you, I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States. Right. And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received...
What we're about to see here is the modern equivalent to the Howard Dean yell. What we are about to witness here is a single sentence destroying a man's whole career. And I am so excited. So before we get into it, smash a like, share it out. You guys know the slabs up and up there with the thing, the new Christmas stuff, yay. Just let's breathe it in and enjoy.
Tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern.
One more time. Just one more time.
U.S. tax dollars don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before.
Did you see that face? Did you see that? Hold on.
The concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not...
Yeah, nah, I don't care. This does make me feel better. Look at a booty. Smack. America needs to stop this leader of the free world bullshit. Fix her damn crown. So tired of these warmongers. I don't think anybody is genuinely happy with any type of warmongering. Most American citizens are anti-war and have been since they have just kind of started to realize that the military-industrial complex holds an incredible sway over the American population, and most people have really drifted away from that. And us going to war over there does nothing for us over here. But like they say, it's not my concern what happens over here. You know what, Baba? Yeah. Yep. Luna seemed to like that one. I think I have 15 and 50 are both sexy dancy ladies like that. I think that was 151. I think that's close. Yeah, we're like $10 away from 30%. 13, no, 15. Oh, I get. Okay, nice. There we go. Baba, I changed it just for you. Akira, fuck the war hawk. Pence is an idiot. Most Americans hate that our money is going to Ukraine. The only people supporting this shit are single cat ladies with purple hair and dumb college kids. Yeah, no, that's spot on. That is absolutely spot on. This isn't like this isn't a thing. It's so fucking frustrating. This is absolutely frustrating. I want to hear that one more time.
Don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern. I'm running for president of the United States because I think this country's in a...
Yeah, David Graham, they went from cluster bomb to cluster fuck.
A lot of trouble. I think Joe Biden has weakened America at home and abroad. And as president of the United States...
And why did you just say it wasn't your concern, Pence?
We're going to restore law and order in our cities. We're going to secure our border. We're going to get this economy moving again. And we're going to make sure that we have men and women on our courts at every level that will stand for the right to life and defend all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution. Anybody that says that we can't be the leader of the free world and solve our problems at home has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth. We can do both.
No, we have a realistic view. We see what is happening. We see the world around us. You can't lie. Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? Fuck off. Doing the jerk off motion. Fuck off.
And as President of the United States, we will secure our border, we will support our military, we will revive our economy and stand by our values, and we will also lead the world for freedom under my administration. I promise you.
Amen. Vice President Mike Pence, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tucker.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wish Tucker would have pushed back on that a little bit more, but there was probably someone off stage doing the hand wave. Bad, 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 bad. Let's take a look at the next one. This will be good. Nikki Haley, another warmonger, Ukrainian hawk. Let's see what Nikki Haley's got to say on this one. Guys, we are $10 away from being 30% to goal. Thank you so much. If you'd be so kind as to smash that like button, share it out on your social media. If you would be so kind as to support the show, if you feel it is worth supporting, that would be greatly appreciated. See, Thomas, Rhino Inc. is as much of a career as leftists also. Good sir. Where is my fire support? Fire support? Not sure what you mean. And Fuckle Snuck, great name. Ben Shapiro pissed off a lot of people this week trying to downplay the colossal fuck up, saying that he meant, saying that Pence meant Ukraine wasn't his concern. Nobody bought it. No, because that's not what he meant. Hey, Poltergeisha. It was an awesome lighting show. Someone in Tucker's earpiece was saying, "Stop, he's already dead." Happy birthday to Jesus.
Happy birthday to you. Today is Christmas.
That is a good one. I think I have another Full Metal Jacket one. Probably like FMJ Elf. Oh yeah, 3365 Elf Full Metal Jacket. That's a good one too, if anyone wants to hit up that one. Just for Baba. Just hit that up for Baba. All right, let's get back to this, guys. We are over 30% to goal, well on our way to halfway to goal. And the like ratio is not bad. Not great. Could be better. Let's keep it moving.
Morning. Thank you for doing this.
No, it's a pleasure to be here.
And congratulations on your run. So as you think about running for president, I'm sure you think about the last election and what happened. Historic numbers for the current president. 81 million votes. 15 million more than Barack Obama. Twice the population of New York City more than Barack Obama. What do you think of that?
In terms of Biden?
Yeah. 81 million votes. They are saying that Joe Biden got 81 million votes. And my question is, do you accept that? And second, how do you think he did that?
I mean, all I care about is changing that. Like, we can't afford a President Kamala Harris. I will say that over and over.
Amen.
And we have to do everything we can to make sure that that happens.
But as a mechanical question, it's not a trick question, it's just like the mechanics of it, something you're thinking about since you're running. I don't think anyone would say Joe Biden was a great candidate.
No.
Didn't campaign.
He didn't campaign at all.
He was not a figure who commanded respect among Democrats. They made fun of him.
He has successfully commanded respect among nobody. I can't think of a single person, full stop, that respects Joe Biden. Even his own staff doesn't respect him.
Attacking the guy, but that's true.
Right.
Nobody in Washington said, I want my kid to grow up to be Joe Biden. And yet, at the end, he's got 81 million votes. 15 million more than Barack Obama, who, whatever you think of him, was a very talented politician, and I think smart. So, like, how did he do that? And what can we learn from that?
Well, what you can learn from it is what we did in South Carolina. I said in South Carolina, if you've got to show picture ID to buy Sudafed, if you've got to show picture ID to get on a plane, you should have to show picture ID to protect the integrity of the election.
But see, that's the thing, is it's not picture ID. It's certain political parties cheating.
Process.
So,
And we have to make sure election integrity is something we don't ever stop. You have to continue over and over. We've had some states who've done some great things and they've put voter ID in place, and that's been great. We still have some other states who haven't done anything, and we need to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to. I mean, we saw during COVID, a lot of secretaries of state changed rules without getting state legislative support. We saw a lot of that happening. We saw a lot of mail-out balloting.
I'm gonna put this on 1.25 as well.
We've got to make sure we continue to fight to make sure we have integrity in the election process. Because I saw at the United Nations.
Yeah, that's something everybody kind of agrees with.
You never, when you have your people lose faith in an election system, that's the first crack of a country falling apart. We have to keep fighting for this. We have to make sure we get it done.
yes. So when I asked about the 81 million votes, you immediately said things I think I agree with about election integrity. Yeah. So are you suggesting that that'll last election? It sounds like you're saying you don't think it was on the level.
Are you talking about the presidential?
That's correct, the presidential.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we all know that there were irregularities in there and that there were some issues that happened.
It is undoubted that there were irregularities. We're like 3 minutes into this, and I gotta say she is already way better than Pence was.
We know that there was mail-out balloting that shouldn't have happened. Do I think that changed the results of the election? No. I mean, I think President Biden ended up winning the election, but I think at the end of the day, it showed we've got a lot of work to do in terms of election integrity.
So you mentioned mail-in ballots. Would you restrict that if you're president?
Yeah, I don't believe in mail-out ballots. I mean, if you do absentee ballots, in South Carolina, what we did is we did voter ID. We did absentee ballots, but you had to verify they were who they were. You matched up signatures. We counted them as they came in, so there should be no reason you're getting results 2 weeks out. That should never happen.
Didn't some places take like 6 weeks?
And you have to make sure that people, and you have to keep cleaning your rolls so that dead people don't vote. I mean, that's a huge thing that we've got to do. And so I think we should always keep pushing for that.
So electronic voting machines, I think, are the majority of voting in America takes place on electronic voting machines. And I know that there are municipalities that haven't received access to the software that runs those machines. Why would that be, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I'd be happy if everybody just did paper ballots and then we were done.
Yeah.
I think most people would be okay with that. I think most people would be pro paper ballots.
Do you think that that's, I think most people would agree with that. Do you think that that's something that governors should push for?
I mean, I think that you need to show the people of your state that they can trust the system. I always put a lot of weight in that in South Carolina. I wanted to make sure that
what you have to do is that you need to be honest about where the system is bad and then say you're going to fix it. You cannot just go, I am a Republican, I am in charge now, you can trust the system again. You have to tell people what was wrong to get them to want to trust the system. That's it. I mean, that's all there really is to it.
Carolinian knew that we had fair elections, that we had verified elections, and that we were making sure that there were no dead people voting and no people duplicate voting. And I think every governor should make sure that that doesn't happen in their states. And I think that you also...
I think that if one of these candidates got up there and said what I just said, I want to show you where things went bad and what we're doing to fix it. I'm not just going to tell you to blindly trust me. I am going to earn that trust.
So go a step further. Congress should also have oversight of election integrity to make sure if we have to change things. A lot happened during COVID.
Oh, yes, I'm sure that can't be corrupted at all.
Learn those lessons and say, how do we make sure it doesn't happen again? I think we've got some opportunities there.
It doesn't seem to be happening, though.
No, it doesn't. But what has Congress done for you lately?
Fair. Wait, last question on this. I'm just interested, since you've been traveling, obviously you're running.
Oh, damn. I just realized that my mom's going to vote for Biden next year.
All around the country, is this question, the question of whether the elections are fair, whether your vote is counted, is this top of mind for Republican voters in your experience?
I think Republican voters want to have faith in their system, and I think there's still a lot of questions out there. I think they're still concerned that those things that happened during that election don't happen again, and that's why I think governors need to step up and make sure that they're doing the things. And some governors have done a great job. You have the best governor in the country, by the way. Kim Reynolds knocks it out of the park all the time.
Shame. Come on, that was funny.
But I do think this is a responsibility that we should have. It's a democracy.
My dad voted for Hillary in November 2016. He died in August. Well, my mom died 2 months ago, so she'll definitely be voting Democrat next year.
Democracy. And in a democracy, you want to make sure everybody has their vote. But more than that, The people need to trust the government that is doing those elections. And so we have to go and make sure that they have faith in that.
One of the things that we've learned, thank you for saying that.
When her sister died, I made the same exact joke. When her sister died, I made the same exact joke. Like, oh man, I can't believe Antonia is going to be voting Democrat. And she said, oh my God, that's fucking terrible. She would have enjoyed it, God damn it.
One of the things that we...
Oh, fuck, I forgot to tell you. So I had to take the boys very, very early this morning to go get blood work done. I had to take them very early to get blood work done. And so I woke up extra early to go to the gym. I'm all half awake and I'm sitting up in bed and I reach over and I grab I have this big fuck off water jug. Yeah, listen to this thing. You just tap the side and it sounds like a gong. And I grabbed that off my little bedside table and I grabbed it by the top and I must not have had a good grab on it because I dragged it off and it knocked my glasses off and the fucking thing went on my glasses. So I was like, holy fuck. So as quickly as I could, I jumped out of bed. Like, I took this thing and I, like, chucked it to the side and I picked up my glasses. The one arm, the arm that goes around the ear is fucked up. It's like, it's super loose. And I can't get these fixed. These are old as fuck frames. The lenses are new, but the frames are, and I spent like $400 on the lenses when I got them done after my stroke. So the one arm is pretty fucked up. So I'm like, you know what? That's it. And I need these to drive. I need these, like, without my glasses on, I can't read the chat on screen in front of me. Like, I get close, I can see none of your business, but I sit back, it's like a little red dot, a blue blur with a little white blur next to it. So I'm like, okay, I don't know how much longer these glasses are going to hold together. I need to call around and either see if I can get a place that can get me a new set of glasses in a couple of days or see how much LASIK is going to cost, because I've been thinking about LASIK for a little bit, but that little thing, that little incident just really pushed me over the edge. But $2,200 per eye and no insurance covers it. I was like, motherfucker. So I'm going to have to, that's going to have to go on the back list unless I could put it on credit, I guess. But I need to get new glasses, because that, honestly, it scared the shit out of me. And my glasses are, like, I'm doing it right now. I probably shouldn't be fidgeting with it, but the arm is super loose where the bottle fell. If on a budget or rush, iMart Express are a good call. I'll have to check. What is that? iMart Express? I'm going to put that in my thing over here.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Except for you. You've been a cunt.
The closest one is in Niles. Where the fuck is Niles? Where are the... That's not even... Holy shit, that's fucking... It's by Warren. Oof. Oh yeah, that's at least an hour and a half drive. But it scared the shit out of me. Like, I got to do something. Walmart is the closest place I can go. They have all my stuff on file there, but it's like $300 to get new lenses there. That doesn't even count frames. I think frames are like $100 a piece. So I was like, oh shit, I got to figure something out. I'd also have to budget for that. Literally every single person I talked to said that getting LASIK was the best decision that they had ever made. And I really want to get it. I'm going to shop around a little bit because, okay, in a pinch, I can afford $300, $400 for glasses. I can do that. but 1,500, 2,200. They said it was 2,200, 2,250 per eye with $1,000 thing, so 3,500 for both. I'm like, okay, I have to put it on credit, but I need to get that sorted out because holy shit, that was such a like if that had happened, I would have had to have gotten my aunt or Shelly to drive me around for the next week and a half till I can get an appointment to get new glasses. Last time I went to the optometrist, I asked him, I said, hey, would I be a good candidate for LASIK? He said, I can tell by, the dentation or whatever, you rub your eyes a lot. You cannot do it. And Sam messaged me, Sam Silent Pad Bunny messaged me. He's like, you cannot rub your eyes. Do not ever rub your eyes. All right. So I got to figure something out, man, because that scared me so fucking bad on like a base level. Because it's something you don't really think of. You're like, oh, fuck, I won't be able to do anything if I break my glasses. I can't drive. I'm going to have a hard time streaming. Like, I'll be fucked 8 ways from Sunday if I break my glasses. If you have your prescription on file, go to Zenny Optical. I'll send you a link. Oh, yeah, please send me a link. I'll check that out. You know what? Even if I have to get another pair till I can stash money aside or whatever, I can afford a pair of glasses right now. It's gonna be a big hit because you guys know after everything that happened with Mom, my brother and I had to split that shit down the center. That drained me completely. Luna dropped the biggest donations I have ever seen, and that I didn't even get to smell that money before I wrote a check to my brother. So after all that, I'm a little bit tapped. Even with the life insurance, it didn't even cover like a quarter of it. And it's so, yeah, like, okay, maybe I could have gotten it then, but I'm just sitting where I'm at now. So yeah, send me the thing. I'm going to order like 3 pairs of glasses from Zenny if they're cheap. Because goddamn. What? I bought both my kids' glasses. America's Best is pretty reasonable. No, you can like never rub your eyes again. And I have been actively trying not to rub them. But yeah, no, apparently you can't. America's Best is reasonable. I bought right after I had my stroke. I went and I got a prescription. I did all that stuff. I bought 2 pairs of eyeglasses from America's Best for $150 a piece, $300-something for 2 pairs of glasses. I wore them for less than 6 months before the lenses started to degrade, and I had to throw them out. I brought them to Walmart to get the pair that I'm wearing now. I brought the glasses from America's Best to Walmart, and I said, hey, are these the correct thing? They said, no, these aren't correct. These are terrible. Where did you get these? These are plastic lenses with no protective coat. I said, I got them from America's Best. And they said, oh yeah, no, this is terrible. And that's what I have. I have the big framed Gavin McGinnis-esque glasses. I'll figure it out. I just wanted a bit, like, that scared me so fucking bad this morning. It wasn't even funny. I can afford new glasses in a pinch. I could have gone up to Walmart and be like, hey, can you just put these in something? But it scared the shit out of me. For Sin's New Eyes, and I love obnoxious assing. Who doesn't love obnoxious assing? Thank you, Doomhammer. But I think I am going to start stashing a little bit of money aside just to get LASIK, because I don't want to be like that guy in the Twilight Zone. The last guy ever, he's going to read all the books, his nagging wife's dead, fuck him, and he breaks his fucking glasses. I don't want to be that guy. Though it's not as strong as we would like, this is what we believe Pence and certain others that Tucker is interviewing the stream deserve. Yes, they are cunts. That's true. That's true. Thank you guys very much. We are almost halfway to goal. Sorry for that little bit of tangent. My bad.
We've learned in the almost 3 years since the last election is that various government agencies, intel agencies, law enforcement, FBI, CIA, NSA,
A lot of people have really been talking up Zenny. I see Poltergeisha sent it over. I have my prescription somewhere. And so yeah, I'm gonna try to get what I can.
Were involved in shaping public opinion about the last election. They interfered with our election. And that suggests to a lot of people that maybe those agencies have too much unchecked power. You've worked in government. What do you think?
Well, yes, that's true. You know, when I was governor, I went and replaced the heads of every agency. It's the first thing I did when I came to office. It's the first thing
That's the first thing everybody should do right when they get into office.
the president should do is you control what you can control. And you start with
And that's what Trump didn't do.
your agency. So I replaced the heads of every agency. I made sure they were people, some didn't vote for me, but they were people who knew that sector. So if it was veterans, it was someone who knew the challenges of veterans. If it was tourism, it was someone who knew heads and beds, people on golf courses. They knew what they needed.
I need somebody who knows heads and beds.
To do, and I did that across the board. But the second thing I did is I put people in every agency. I sent in teams into every agency to clean it up.
I had a great experience with them, but only went to iMark because they were the only place around that had an in-store lab and could cut lenses in a few hours. That looks like the closest one is going to be about Directins. My location. Okay, yes, I did block that. Looks like the closest one is going to be about an hour away from me. So, I mean, it's not bad, but still.
Pull down regulations, down old issues, get rid of problem children. So in some cases, we had to tweak agencies. In other cases, we had to gut agencies. If you look at the American people don't trust our intelligence agencies, they don't trust our Department of Justice, so you can't just replace the person at the top. You've got to go through and really look at gutting.
Oh, Nunya. I have bad news for you, sir. As of Sunday, you have officially been usurped as the Stacker Club leader. Guys, give a cheers up in the chat for Nunya for being the originator of the Stacker Club over here and holding the reins on it for about 4 years. 3 to 4 years.
Those agencies and getting out a lot of that senior management and things that happen.
Get rid of the redheaded stepkids. Hey, man, I have 2 for sale. I'll trade 1 kid for a good pair of glasses.
I think it's a really good point.
More than that, you have to understand that every action you take matters. So I'll give you an example. When I was at the United Nations, my very first week, someone got on the phone with the press and told them what I was going to do. No.
And in a short span of time, a couple of months ago, one Luna rose right to 3rd.
One of it was what I was going to do. And so I called my staff and I said, who is this? And get rid of them.
God
You're
damn, dude, that's good.
John Kerry's sister. John Kerry's sister worked at the U.S. mission at the United Nations. And I said, get rid of her. And they said, you can't. She's here for 6 more months. And I said, you take her key pass, you take her computer, and we will pay her to sit at home. But she is not to walk back into this building.
Wow. Well, then
you have to be willing to really do the things to shake it up. The next thing that we have to do is, I know presidents typically meet with their governors once a year.
No, Poltergeisha, I got it. I have my prescription written down. I need the big frame glasses.
I will meet with my governors once every quarter with the sole goal of get the power that's at the federal government, push it down to the states. That's how you empower people, is pushing it down. And you push it down. That can be education, that can be health care, that can be benefits. When I was governor in South Carolina, we had thousands of people on welfare. I went, and instead of them sitting on the couch, I went to our businesses and I said, look, if you will take this person and train them, I will pay this X number of weeks, and then you decide if you want to hire them. We moved 35,000 people from welfare to work. I went into...
You know, I think Nikki Haley is an absolute dipshit, but she is giving a much better showing than Pence did.
Know how they got in, what we did to them when they were there, and what we did when they came out. We went in, we put in computer classes. We taught them financial planning. We gave them faith-based classes if they wanted them. But we put equipment behind the fence, and we trained them. Now in South
Do I like Nikki Haley? No, God, no. I'm just saying she did better than fucking Pence.
Carolina, when somebody leaves the fence, they've got a job to go to the next day. We have the lowest recidivism rate in the country.
What? I'm wondering, I wasn't going to bring this up, and this is not something that you did, but I just was noticing it, that homelessness in South Carolina has risen dramatically recently, as it has in a lot of places around the country.
Oh.
It's a sign of obvious failure. If your citizens are living on the street and dying of drug disease and no one notices, then it's not working.
Yeah, the bar is in hell. All she had to do was say is that American concerns are not her problem. All she had to do was not say that, and she's doing better.
Why do you think that's happening, and what can government do about it?
Well, first, that's your Bidenomics for you. I mean, let's make sure that people cannot afford things. And I'll tell you the one thing that's more shameful than anything as a military spouse, 33,000 of our heroes are homeless today. That's shameful. We should never treat our veterans that way. But you look at homelessness otherwise, and America has refused to deal with the cancer that is mental health. 1 in 4 people have a mental health issue. But if treated, they can live a perfectly normal life. The problem is, and you look at our veterans, 1 in 3 suffer from PTSD or thoughts of suicide. But right now, if you look at it, if somebody knows they have an issue, which a lot of our teenagers do and young adults do, they can't find a therapist because we don't have enough. There aren't enough treatment centers. If someone with a mental health issue doesn't get help, they get into an addiction. There aren't enough addiction centers. And oh, by the way, if you happen to be one of those blessed ones that gets it, insurance doesn't cover it. We have got to do this. We're losing Americans every day just because of that. And the homelessness is a lot of that. I saw that, you'll see in South Carolina, they'll take people that have mental health issues and they'll put them in jail for 48 hours, or they'll send them to the hospital for 48 hours. That's not doing anything to treat these people and the challenges that they have.
Well, so what would you do if you don't send them to a
Damn, Nanya, that might be worth the drive.
therapist?
Well, we have to get mental health treatment. We should have telehealth all over the country.
Yeah, homeless people are known for often having cell phones and doing telehealth, mental health visits. Good plan, Nikki.
For our veterans, but for people who
Hey,
need
Sam, I was
real-time
just
help,
talking about
they
you.
should be able to get a doctor on their computer or phone at any given time.
But there's never been a higher percentage of Americans on prescribed psychiatric drugs, benzodiazepines and amphetamines. It's the highest it's ever been. But
I want to know where you guys are getting amphetamines. They make a great pre-workout.
and SSRIs. And the suicide rate keeps going up.
SSRIs are off the fucking chain right now.
So is there a point at which we say this isn't working, this treatment that we're offering?
Well, now you're talking about something totally different. I mean,
Well, but that is the treatment for most
We
people.
have a broken healthcare system, and we have to make sure that we completely tear it up, from the insurance companies to the hospitals to the doctors to the PBMs to the pharmaceutical companies, because right now,
Man, it almost sounds like she has an actual plan. Well, it's a team of people giving her the plan, but my point still stands.
right now, doctors
Guys, that like ratio is looking better. I think we can improve it. Yeah, it's not bad, but it can be better. Guys, smash that like button. Share it out on your socials. We are almost halfway to goal. If you want to help eat the warmongers, you know exactly how to do it.
love to just prescribe. They love to give drugs. They love to do whatever. But doctors are never judged on the outcomes. Doctors need to, rather than us looking at how many appointments they have, how many prescriptions they write, what about if we talked about the outcomes? What did you do for that patient? Did that patient get better? That's the method that we should start looking at for healthcare. And then people need to have options. My mom, I take care of my parents. They're 87 and 89. My mom was in the hospital. She had no say in what that hospital bill was. They brought her Tylenol she didn't want, and they said, well, you're going to pay for it anyway. You might as well take it. You have an insurance company and a hospital negotiating that, and she is nowhere in that conversation. So we will make it all transparent, make those...
Dude, Nanya, that's a good story. When I was in Houston, we were just shopping. It's me, Duel, T-Tac, Phil. I don't think G was there. But it was the four of us, and we're at whatever the Piggly Wiggly is over there. And I went outside first because all I needed was beer, so I got my beer, and I went outside to cook in the fucking Houston sun. So I'm out there, and this homeless dude walks up to me, and like I see Duel creeping around the corner, like just staring at me. And this homeless dude's like, "Hey man, you got a couple of bucks?" I said, "No, I don't have any cash." He goes, "It's fine. I got Cash App. I got PayPal. I got, what's the other one? Venmo." And I'm like, "Yeah?" He goes, "Yeah, here, look, you can have my QR code." And this motherfucker pulls out like an iPhone fucking 12. He's like, "You could just send it to me on here." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that either." And he just kind of stares at me. So I'm like, uh-oh. So I kind of like bring myself up a little bit. I was leaning on Phil's car. I kind of bring myself up a little bit. And Duel comes walking out. And I think the guy kind of got the sense that nothing could be done from whatever he was going to do. And he fucked off. But I was like, dude, is this guy going to pull out a QR code on his fucking hand and go like, "I got Cash App, PayPal, Venmo"? Fucking insane.
Insurance companies have to show us what they're doing. Make those hospitals show us what they're doing. Make these doctors have to say what they're doing and the outcomes. And let's make sure pharmaceutical
Yeah, Poltergeist, it's Texas.
companies suddenly have to show us what they do. When we do that, if we just dealt with the insurance companies, we'd cut healthcare in half. So we have to do those things. Yeah, I think doctors now easily prescribe because it's the easy way out. But if we held them accountable on outcomes and started actually showing that, putting that online, wouldn't that make a difference? I think it would.
Amen. You mentioned John Kerry's sister, and it reminds me one of the trends in government is emergencies are identified that we're told are so threatening to this country that people can't be consulted on the policies we use to address them, whether it's COVID and climate. Huge. And so the debate over whether climate's changing is measurable. The debate over why it's changing is much more subjective. Do you think climate change is driven by human activity?
I think climate change is real, but I think the conversation has been taken so out of whack that if you look at what Biden's done with all of these subsidies. When I was at the United Nations, there was the Paris Climate Agreement. And it sounds good, like, oh, everybody needs to go take care of the environment.
I was expecting that next. I was expecting him to pull out a square reader, just going, to put in how much you want to give me and swipe your credit card.
But what I saw is they were holding countries to different standards. So Obama put this massive amount of regulations and all these abuses on our businesses and companies because he was trying to show that he was, that we really cared about the environment, when America's actually extremely good when it comes to the environment. We all want clean air, we all want clean water, and we work on it every day. If you really want to deal with the environment, if you really want, then do what I saw, go talk to China and India. Those are the biggest polluters, and no one is making them do anything about it.
You know what? She speaks very well. I would like her if the other half of her policies were an absolute dog shit that I disagree with on a base level.
And not only that, while we have
Yes, Baba Yaga, exactly. Give Sin your spare change through Streamlabs, PayPal, and credit card accepted.
had all the regulations on the U.S.,
and we are almost halfway to goal.
China's was they would deal with it in 10 years. I can promise you 10 years never comes for China. That's the problem. That's why we got out of the Paris Climate Agreement.
Right, and you dealt with this question all the time at the UN, the question of how does the world respond to climate change. But there are really two questions. One is the climate changing? And I guess we can measure its temperature around the globe over a period of years. But the deeper question is why? We had glaciers 10,000 years ago. The climate has always changed dramatically since the formation of the Earth. So do you think humans are causing this change? And do you think that we can stop or slow it down? Like, is there actual evidence?
I mean, honestly, I don't know how much is being changed or not, as much as I know that putting electric vehicles on the road is not the answer to what you're doing. I saw, as governor of South Carolina, we had companies come, and on their own, they would spend money to try and be more green. They wanted to be total good stewards on their own. Whatever they did, we didn't have to mandate that. We didn't have to require that. And I don't know how much of a difference that would have made at what they did anyway. I mean, I think right now the biggest issue I have is that you've got America right now going hat in hand to Saudi Arabia and getting dirty oil from Iran and Venezuela. We should be energy independent no matter what. I don't care what anybody says about the environment. This is a national security threat of not having energy independence. So people can say whatever they want to say about why the environment is the way it is.
We're opening up a door there. We're opening up a door there that I don't like.
My job as president is to make sure that America is safe. And if America is safe, one of those factors is being energy independent. I saw at the United Nations, there were two things our enemies never wanted us to have. They never wanted us to be energy independent, and they never wanted us to have a strong military. We have to always have both of those things.
Well, speaking of energy in the military, who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm not claiming you did it. I'm just kidding.
I'm curious what her answer to this is going to be.
No, I don't know. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Do you know who did it?
Seems pretty obvious. It was backed by the Biden administration, I would say. I mean, I think all the evidence suggests that, but I wasn't there. But I mean, that seems like a huge step. This is the largest industrial sabotage in history, sent more carbon in the atmosphere than any act ever. And like, there's weirdly...
Of course it was Biden. Who else would it be if not Biden? Of course it was.
No curiosity about who did it, and I think that's strange. Why do you think
there's a lot of things that are strange with the Biden administration. This is the first one.
I guess what I'm really saying is, if you were running against the Biden administration, to do something like that and shaft our closest allies in the world, which would be Western Europe, and deprive them of the energy they need to run their manufacturing sector and destroy their economy, which it is in the process of doing, Like, that's a major sin to have done something like that. You just betrayed our allies, and no one on the right is accusing the Bidens of what they clearly did. So I don't know why.
Well, no one is accusing the Bidens aren't being accountable on anything. I mean, you look at the cocaine that was just found in there, and that's a whole nother issue.
Ooh. Ooh.
Who was that?
So let me tell you this. No.
Okay, go ahead. No one's watching. Just what do you think?
No, this is really important because I have been into that area of the White House. This is not
it's party time.
As much as they want to say, and don't forget the pot that they just said was found there last year, right? So everything that they're saying is that hundreds of people went through this area. No, I've been to that area. It is the most secure area anywhere because this is where I on the National Security Council with other members of national security met with the president. You discussed the most secure things. I know the area where the locker is. People don't just go in and out of there. It is either the president, the vice president, cabinet, cabinet members, or deputy directors. Nobody else is going in there. There is some staff, but it's immediate I couldn't take any staff but my deputy. The president would take his chief of staff, very limited. So for them to say they don't know who this was, don't tell me there's no cameras in there. There are absolutely cameras in there. So I will tell you, I strongly believe this is a cover-up for either Hunter or someone very close to the president, and they don't want to say who it is. But the problem I have is now your answer is, oh, this isn't a big deal because, by the way, there was marijuana twice last year. Why didn't you do anything about that? Like, who has time to go into the national security skiff, open the locker, and put drugs inside? Like, that's a bigger problem because if you've got somebody doing cocaine deciding on national security, that's what I'm worried about. Well,
yeah, I'm doing that thing with my hands where I'm like palms up going.
And it shows, I would say.
I totally agree.
So that, I mean, we seem to be closer to nuclear war than any time in my life.
At least any time that I can remember.
Add some coke to it.
So, like, how could, I guess I'm a little bit confused as to how, in the face of that, the sort of unending litany of failures from the party in charge, there could be like any contest this year at all, no matter who the nominee is. And yet, Democrats seem durably popular. I mean, you think they just generically beat about 10. Because, like, what have they done for you? Nothing. You know, they scream at you all the time, call you names, and make you poorer. So, like, what is that? I mean, does the Republican Party, it does seem like it should be doing better than it is, without blaming anyone in specifically.
No, but look, I've always spoken hard truths, and I think it's really important.
Yeah?
We are $32 trillion
that?
in debt. We are having to borrow money just to make our interest payments. China owns some of that debt. It would be easy for me to tell you, oh, Biden and the Democrats did that. Our Republicans did that to us too. You go back and you look at that $4 trillion stimulus bill that was passed with no accountability whatsoever, expanded welfare that has now left us with 90 million Americans on Medicaid, 42 million Americans on food stamps. And did Republicans try and make that right? Nope. They doubled down and opened up earmarks for the first time in 10 years, pushing through 7,000 of them in December. Want to know how they spent your money? $30 million on an honors college in Vermont, $10 million to tear down a hotel in Alaska, $7.5 million on a courthouse in Colorado.
Where are we going, Luna?
And the list goes on, all while 1 in 6 American families can't pay their utility bill. 60% of Americans are in credit card debt. Social Security will go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare will go bankrupt in 8. So we've got a spending problem in Congress. There are no saints in Congress right now. They love to spend our money, and it is high time we deal with that. And the way we deal with that when it comes to the economy is we should claw back.
The way we deal with that is by donating to Streamlabs. Basically, the whole administration is the kids acting all retarded while the demented grandpa is busy barely remembering Charlie in the trees. Yeah, you're not too far off there, man. You're not too far, and that's terrible because it's accurate, and I'm sad now, so thank you. Let's see. Looks like the next lowest question mark dono is $100 and 1 penny. That's a lot. Yeah, if we can't get that tonight, it's fine.
Back to $500 billion of unspent COVID dollars.
But we are just past 40% to goal, guys. Thank you so much for your generosity tonight. It's greatly appreciated.
That's still out there.
Is there...
Instead of 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, let's go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud that exists. If 8% of our budget is interest, quit borrowing, cut up the credit cards. You have to balance a budget every day. I had to balance a budget as governor. The accountant in me says, stop the spending, stop the earmarks, stop the borrowing, and I will veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels.
Fair.
So, thank you for...
Very fair. Damn, I wish she wasn't so terrible on literally every other opinion she had.
that. So finally, just as kind of a window into what you like and what you don't like, you've attacked the Congress. I don't think anyone would disagree with what you said. But are there individual members in the House or Senate, you must know most of them, who you admire and you think are doing a good job?
Yeah, I wonder how much of those Corona bucks ended up right in the pockets of Moderna and Pfizer.
No, of course. I mean, I think Iowa, you've got a fantastic delegation. I mean, you look at, what Joni Ernst does, or Grassley does, or Ashley Henson, or Marionette Miller-Meeks. By the way, Brenna Bird is fantastic. But, there are lots of...
So Iowa leads the way, really.
No. It's not that. We have certain people. This is not about having good people. This is about having a good conservative agenda so that all of a sudden government understands the value of a dollar. They've lost the value of a dollar.
That's not going to happen.
We've seen that. And so, yes, you can have good people, but if the good people aren't stopping the spending, then we've got to make sure from the top we say, we're done. No more. You're not going to do this anymore.
So last question, which I can't resist. If they're still classifying the JFK assassination docs 60 years later, they're just mocking us, aren't they?
It's the same thing with the UFOs. They're totally making everybody want to know what happened. You just need to release all of that. Release it all. Let us see it. There's no reason to hold on to that now. Release it now.
Well, good for you. Well, thank you.
Oh, no, she's definitely not getting in now.
You won me on that one. Nikki Haley.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you.
I want to leave you with this.
Okay, what's she leaving us with?
It's been a great conversation. I appreciate that, but I want to leave you with this. Someone asked me why I was running. And I said, my parents came here 50 years ago to an America that was strong and proud and full of opportunities. I want them to know that country again. My husband is deployed. I want him and his military brothers and sisters to know their sacrifice matters, that we do love our country.
Oh, and there she goes, right back into the shit. Just couldn't help herself there, could she? I want them to know their sacrifice. It matters. Not that we shouldn't be sending them to fight for Joe Biden's son's stuff. None
Big
of that.
break.
But yeah, their sacrifice matters. Okay. And just like that, you had me, and then you lost me. You had me, then you lost me. We should have to make a matrix of shit we care about in the 2024 elections and score each candidate on the merits. That's not bad. All right. Let's go to Asa Hutchinson. We're going to try to finish this one up. I got Miss Sin on dinner duty, so I don't know if we'll be able to, but we will certainly try.
He was an editorial writer for the Arkansas Democrat.
Yes, I was.
All right, as we go into this one, same thing. Smash like, share out, Streamlabs if you want. We are halfway to goal. Yeet these fucking rhino warmongers, and let's get to.
So you were in charge of the world.
I had to pay 0 speeding tickets while I had that job. It was the best. It's a great state. Thank you so much for doing this. So I wanted to talk to you about your veto of the anti-puberty blocker trans surgery bill in April of 2021.
Oh, right off the bat. I want to know why you vetoed this.
At the time, you said that the bill was extreme and that it would interfere with the treatment of minors seeking to transition from male to female or female.
Thank you, Baba Yaga, for showing the slabs link. Much appreciated.
To male. Given, and I'm not attacking you for it, but I am asking if in the subsequent 2 years you've had rethinking of that. Have you reassessed your view on it since then?
Well, first of all, I want to ask you, how many of you all are parents in this room?
Oh, my God. So I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to talk to the audience.
I'm a parent as well. And what I believe in is that parents ought to raise their children. I believe that parents ought to be in control, and I also believe in the Constitution. I believe that God created 2 genders, and that there should not be any confusion on your gender. But
okay, you got me in the first half, but doing this whole gotcha, God, that's not a thing here. We're talking about science and shit.
If there is confusion, then parents ought to be the one that guides the children. That to me is an important fundamental principle. Now, obviously, you could take it too far, and if there would have been a bill that said you should not ever have transgender surgery as a minor, I would sign that in a minute, because no parent should be able to consent to that permanent change. But this bill did go too far. It was unconstitutional. It interfered with parents, and so I sided with parents on that bill in managing the most sensitive issue that a parent can face. And I believe in a limited role of government. And so, you know, if I don't think...
No, people should not be transitioning before they're old enough to consent to go fight for this country. That's just how I feel.
I think that California ought to be able to tell parents, you need to have gender-affirming care for the children. The government should not do that. And in the same way, let's keep the government out of it unless it's that extreme case, and let's let parents guide the children. I stand with parents.
So, and amen for standing with parents, and I think everyone in the room would agree with that. But the reason I asked the question was not to bring up a sore subject, which I know that it is, but to ask if in the subsequent 2 years, you had said that you drew the line at castration of physical altercation of a child's body because it's permanent. But in the subsequent 2 years, I think we've learned that hormone therapy for prepubescent children is permanent. It changes the bone structure, it changes the brain of the child. A lot of people believe, including me, that it destroys the child's life, but it is permanent. It's not reversible. So given that and the standard you just articulated, do you have different feelings? I mean, this is a permanent change we are making to a child. Why would we allow that if we don't allow it?
No, we should not allow any of this shit done to small children. It just shouldn't be allowed. You're 18, you do whatever you want. You're an adult, you do whatever you want. But as children, no, absolutely not.
Surgery.
Well, permanent change is one issue, but also hormonal treatment is a different issue.
Like, I don't think anybody truly, honestly gives a shit, and anybody that matters, I should say, gives a shit if you're trans, you're an adult, you've made this decision to alter your body this way, you are comfortable with who you are, that's fine, perfectly fine. You're an adult, God bless you, do what you do. Just leave kids out of it. Just leave kids out of it.
Issue and can be a different issue, and whenever you look
exactly, Poltergeisha, if they come to me and say, hey, I feel like that's, like, all right, that's fine, but you're not doing anything about it until you're old enough to go to war.
Bill that I vetoed, there was not any grandfather clause in there. Again, I respect legislators that have a different view, but
yes, just absolutely leave kids alone.
But I think independently, I think of the parents, I think of the Constitution, and actually the court, if you read the decision of the federal judge that struck it down as unconstitutional, really sided with parents as well.
But how is it treatment? No. I guess that's my question. If you have a child who says, who's born a boy, I want to become a girl, he hasn't gone through puberty yet, he's say 10. Is it treatment to prevent him from going through the natural process of adolescence? How is that treatment? It seems not like treatment. It seems like something else.
Well, you have to... Tucker, I hope that we'll be able to talk about some issues. I know that...
Well, this is one of the biggest issues in the country.
This is an issue, what?
And I think every person in this room would agree that it is a central issue because these are children who are being altered permanently, and you can defend that alteration, that change, if you like, but there's really no debate about it.
I mean, that's it. That's it, Sam. No animals, no kids. Do whatever you want with your genitals. No animals, no kids.
Whether or not it's permanent. And so I think it's fair to ask you in a calm, rational, and I very much hope polite way, why you would support that.
Well, I didn't say what I supported, I said what I vetoed. And whenever you look at children and what they're challenged with in life, I think it's important that in the most sensitive issues that parents are able to guide them through that challenge. And so I don't like the schools pushing transgenderism. I don't want the schools, for example, when President Obama issued the order from the Department of Education that you ought to have bathrooms in the schools that the children can choose what their gender is and go to which bathroom they think they are that day. I said that is not consistent with the law. I said that...
but you said that children should be able to choose their gender and their parents should be able to affirm that, and the state has no role in getting involved. So how is that different? You're saying that a child shouldn't be able to choose a bathroom, but he can choose his sex? I don't understand.
Let me finish what I said. Let me finish.
Oh, I hope you will.
Oof. Tucker has pissed him off.
We don't mind.
Well, please do.
And the finish is that I told Obama they were wrong. I said it publicly that the school districts can't ignore that guidance. And so that's where I think the government should not be pushing an agenda in our schools. And that's what I oppose.
They clap for Tucker and not the politician. I think that's why he got so fucking mad right there.
And so I want the government to stay out. I want the parents and communities and our faith to guide us through these difficult decisions. And so I'm a parent, and whenever I think it's very important that if a child goes to a teacher and says, I think I'm a boy, but I think I might ought to be a girl, well, the school, and they want to do something about it, the parents ought to know about that. And so, like, New Jersey is totally wrong in suing the school districts that want to be able to tell parents.
Any other medical thing you would tell the parents about immediately, but not this?
These are fundamental principles that parents have to have information. They shouldn't be denied the ability to know what's going on in the school with a child. And then they make the decision. They can go to the doctor if the child is suicidal, if the child is struggling. They discuss hormonal treatment that would delay puberty. I don't think this government should come in and tell the parents, you can't give the child a vaccine, or you must give the child a vaccine, or you cannot give them the treatment that you think is important in discussion.
Okay, there's a difference between like your MMR vax and the C19 vax. There's a little bit of a difference.
And I think you're a person of good faith, and I'm not
polio and COVID are two very different things.
Attacking your motives at all. I'm just trying to get to what they are, and I will stop with this. But you have repeatedly described delaying a child's natural progression.
Oh, I know this is super late, but I'm going to forget if I don't say it right now. I made a new otter for the stream on Friday. So if anybody wants to pre-order the new otter, I can give you guys a little sneak preview. I know we have like 10 minutes left, but if anyone wants to pre-order the new otter, I can give you a sneak preview. It's pretty good.
From childhood to adulthood through adolescence, you described that as, quote, treatment. And so that raises the, I mean, clearly you've answered the question. You believe it's treatment. You believe, I suppose, that people can change their sex. Because if you don't believe that, you wouldn't call it treatment, would you?
Ooh, Tucker. Oh, pissed Asa off. Yeah, I wonder how far down on the list these medical companies are on Asa's donation list. Which one is the Otterson? What do you mean, which one?
God created two genders, and that's what I have stated. And whenever you look at the decisions on that, no, I don't support that. I wouldn't make that decision in my family about changing genders. And I don't believe that taxpayers' funds should be used for transgender surgery or treatment through medicine. Is it an atomic breath kaiju otter? No. It's very different. Very different. Oh, you mean what donation? Well, I don't remember what Missle Toads is, so we'll try that one. Medicaid or Medicare or in our military. Oh, I guess I should have given the number. 2743. I don't believe that should happen because traditionally, whether it's the Hyde Amendment that you prohibit funding of abortion with taxpayers' dollars because it violates the religious commitment of many people, the same principle should apply here. I'm saying one simple, fundamental thing, that we have to have a debate as to what is the limited role of government. Let's encourage parents to make decisions. Is it enforcing a contract? Is it protecting our borders? Is it providing a safer nation? There you go. Obviously, they can go too far, and you draw a line, and legislatures have to do. It's not paying for gender reassignment surgery. It's not paying for my glasses. But that is the reason Arkansas is one of the first states that had to address this. And no one there likes this guy. I think it's really starting to stick in his craw a little bit that Tucker is getting applause and he isn't. And, we handled it. The law has been suspended because it was unconstitutional. Other states have done a better job in it, have redrafted the laws. I haven't read them all, but they have varying different degrees of changes in it, such as having grandfather clauses where you don't force a parent to take the child out of state whenever they're undergoing treatment.
Well, it's that time of the year again. Don't forget to hang your missile toads.
Ah, I do like that one. That is a good one. I remember that one. I don't even have Streamlabs pulled up. I'm such a fucking dope. Hold on. Hold on. I'll grab it 1 second. 1 second. Okay, here you go. Let's see this preview. Okay. So we're all Christmassy over in AAA Mansion right now. Because, of course, it's Christmas time, right? You ready for the new otter? take your little hat off, buddy. He's so angry. He's so angry. He's so angry. I gotta pull him up a little bit so you can really get the full effect of him. There you go. Just like he's sitting on the bar. He's so angry. I don't know why he's so angry, but he's very angry. And I like it's just yelling at me. That's Rant Otter. Yeah. I could give you, that is his, I could give you such a shake. And look, he's got a little alien head shooting out of his mouth. He's so angry.
Out of state, the parents would make that decision. But one of the powers that government did usurp over the past several years is the right to decide what medicine you take in the form of COVID mandates. How did you feel about that? And how many COVID shots did you take? And how do you feel about it now, in retrospect?
How many COVID shots did you take?
Holy shit. A crocagator? That sounds like a Dragon Ball fusion.
0. Did you take?
Hold on.
And how do you feel about it now? Over the past several years is the right to decide what medicine you take in the form of COVID mandates. How did you feel about that? And how many COVID shots did you take? And how do you feel about it now?
Ooh, that's a good question. How many COVID shots do you take? How do you feel about it now?
In retrospect.
How many COVID shots did you take?
0.
Oh, shit. Okay, first off, that answer told me everything I needed to know. He's on his 35th booster. Tucker, without hesitation, none. I didn't take any. 0. Oof. Oof. God damn. Asa, look at his face. He's like, oh, fucking prick. He's like a stupid fucking prick piece of shit.
But I think it's fair, and I can see that you recoiled when I asked you that question. And I don't think, honestly, you should be asking people about their medical care, but that became a matter of public policy. And I do think that the whole country ought to pause and assess, like, what did we just go through? How do we feel about it now? And so it's a very straightforward question.
You notice how we just didn't answer?
Well, I'll give you a straightforward answer on a number of points there. First of all...
wasn't Fox forcing all the staff to be vaxxed at one point? Yes, but he didn't work at Fox. I mean, he worked for Fox, but not at Fox Studios.
In Arkansas, we had no governmental mandates. In fact, we passed a law which I signed that prohibited government from mandating the vaccine to be taken by government employees.
Bless you.
And whenever the Biden administration said that even the National Guard had to take the vaccine, I called my adjutant general in and I said, make sure.
Still didn't answer the question.
That you broadly interpret every exemption. We don't want to lose National Guard personnel because of their refusal to take a vaccine. And then, of course, Arkansas joined in the litigation challenging that from the Biden administration, because whenever you're looking at the vaccine, it should be individual choice. We shouldn't be firing people from government because they make that individual decision. Yes, I took the vaccine, and I went out and held town hall meetings where we brought in medical testimony and local doctors and talked in the community about it. So I think we made the right, I made the right decision taking the vaccine for me, but other people can make a different decision.
For sure, but do you think that now, what do you make of the evidence that there were an awful lot of people injured by it? I think, well, that's factually true. And it does seem like there is intense pressure not to mention that. And so if we care about people, we should also care about people who are injured by a drug they were coerced into taking. Why is there no conversation about that?
Well, I think there is conversations about that.
Where?
But let me talk about the pandemic
I don't think
a little
it's
bit more. There were some decisions were not perfect. I had to make the best judgments I could during the pandemic. And as a governor, I made 2 decisions I think were very important. One of them was that whenever you look at the businesses, there was enormous national pressure to say you're an essential business, you're a non-essential business. Non-essential businesses have to close down. I looked at that and I said that every business that provides a job for a family is an essential business. And I'm going to keep them open. And the second, and because of that, our economy recovered. We didn't shelter in place, which were one of few states that made that decision. The other one was I kept our schools open after that spring where we all went virtual. I said, this is not working, particularly in a rural state. And as a result of keeping our schools open for in-classroom instruction, Arkansas ranked number 2 in the nation for days of in-classroom instruction during the pandemic.
Okay.
That was good for the students. It was good for our communities. It was diminished the learning gap. And so we don't handle things perfectly, but we make good judgments, and those were 2 that I think will stand the test of time.
So I want to ask you a question that Senator Scott and that I asked Senator Scott, which is, do you think, and would you as president use the U.S. military to seal our southern border?
Well, it's very important that we use our military to support our protection of the southern border. What I would do in approaching the southern border, and of course I was in charge of border security during the Bush administration.
Yes, I know. Yep.
And as some people might remember, we didn't get it perfect, but it looks perfect compared to what you see today.
For sure.
And so
I mean, the bar is so fucking low.
I have a little bit of experience along the border security. I was head of the DEA, and so I had to deal with Mexico in reference to the cartels. And that is probably the number one thing that is important, is to address the cartels, to declare them foreign terrorist organizations that harm Americans, that cause a great deal of human suffering, and are responsible for bringing fentanyl in that's killing our citizens and our young people.
Yes.
And so the southern border, we need to increase our borders resources with our Border Patrol. We need to build the infrastructure, including continuing the wall, but we also need to have technology that supports the protection of our border. We need to reform our asylum laws, and then we have to go after the cartels. A very specific plan as to how to bring security to the southern border. Immigration's important.
This is not an answer.
To our country.
Yes.
And we're a land of immigrants, and we want to cherish that. We don't want to lose that. But we also need to make sure that we protect our border from a security standpoint and from a sovereignty standpoint. That defines a sovereign nation whenever we can control our borders.
Amen. And I think most people agree with that or say they agree with it. But just to more precise action questions. So we have U.S. military personnel in over 100 bases around the world. The president, as you saw yesterday, mobilized some reserves to support the effort against Russia in Eastern Europe. Why wouldn't you use uniformed, you ran the agency, so you may know the answer, and I'm ignorant, but why wouldn't you just create a human wall of American military personnel and just kind of fix the problem immediately? We could afford to do that. We don't want to do that for some reason. What am I missing?
Well, a couple points there. First of all, the military is always an option that might be needed at some point. But I want to be able to fix it without having to use the military. How about when 7 million people come in? Is that the point? I would like to be able to do it without using the military for a couple of reasons. First of all, we want to show strength.
Why?
With China and making sure we have a military presence in the Philippines. We want to make sure that we show strength in Europe and that we're able to maintain a military.
Wait, just another guy I saw that. He did not just say we're a nation of immigrants. We're not a fucking nation of immigrants. We're a nation of citizens. We are a nation of citizens.
That has a global presence. And so the military has a lot of responsibilities. Secondly, the military...
May I ask you to pause? Are those responsibilities more important than protecting our own borders?
I'm going to finish my answer first. The second reason is the military is trained to kill people. And they're not trained in traditional law enforcement responsibilities. So it's a different mission. We utilize the National Guard, but our regular military, I hope we don't have to use in the border.
Those need to be over in Ukraine, guys.
We can solve the problem without that. Now go ahead.
Okay, but if I describe to you a nation in which 7 million people had moved without permission, most of them military-age males, and bringing with them, they brought poison that killed over 100,000 citizens of the country into which they were moving every single year, you would say this is an invasion. This is not only a challenge to a sovereignty, this is proof that sovereignty doesn't exist. You don't control your country. It's not really your country. And you would say that's an emergency. In fact, you might even say that's what...
Obnoxious assing's great. These people are just stealing Trump's talking point. Nothing they say means anything because they do not come up with it, nor do I believe they will actually do it. Plus, I don't want a Bible thumper leading the country. I don't care what Bible it is. I don't blame you. I think you're perfectly correct there. I don't want a Bible thumper leading the country. I don't want theocratic orthodoxy rules pushed on us because I think the moralism in that is just as much of a moralism as any other system of belief. My morals are not your morals, are not his morals, are not their morals. It is what it is. We should not have morality written into law in that way. Thank you, Doomhammer, for the 10. And we are like $5 away from halfway to goal. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. And we have about 6 minutes left on this video. So probably 15 minutes left with me.
What's happening in Ukraine right now from an American perspective. And so if that doesn't meet the definition of an emergency with which you'd use the U.S. military to respond, then what does? What's happening in the Philippines? I mean, I'm not mocking you, but what is happening in the Philippines is more important than that?
Well, the Philippines is close to Taiwan, and so that sends a signal.
Yeah. And?
Of course, that fact that we have our bases there, that if we have the right personnel, the right equipment there, then we send a signal to China, don't touch the freedom of Taiwan. And I think that's important.
What? Asa, what?
But in terms of what?
Yeah, no, it's probably about 50. I would say 50 million is the best guess we're going to get.
Is important, obviously. Whenever you look at the Trump administration, they took steps along the border, but they didn't put the military personnel there. And whenever you look at how we can solve that problem, if we can solve that problem short of it, there could be, there's some candidates that advocate using the military to bomb the labs in Mexico. Well, that is called an invasion, and I'd like to be able to do something short of invading a neighboring friendly country, and there's ways.
No, but we just need to be stationed in a different friendly country. I don't think friendly countries are a proxy for all of the world to invade us into. I don't think a friendly country would be okay with having cartels commit mass genocide on American soil. I don't think that would be the case.
To do it, I've worked as the head of the DEA with President Vicente Fox at the time to dismantle one of the cartels.
Yeah, I'm sure you did a great fucking job.
We can do it again. We've got to use economic pressure on Mexico in order.
You know what? I am very torn on this, but I think that is some military intervention I would be okay with, is if the military went after the cartels. Bomb their hideouts, just get a Predator drone, drop a couple of fucking, I don't remember what they're called, but the Tomahawk missiles, drop them on their warehouses. Fuck it, call it a day.
To be successful in targeting the cartels, this last week was extraordinary. Down in Mexico, you're seeing them use roadway bombs, the cartels, and it wound up killing civilians. Mexico has to wake up to the threat to their country and to their economy and to.
Yeah, no, apparently, and this really flies in the face of a lot of my beliefs, but apparently Mexico is just not going to do anything. Mexico is not going to do anything to protect against the cartel. They're just not. So we're going to have to do it.
Their citizens from the unleashed power of those cartels. The United States needs to support that and pressure Mexico if they're not going to cooperate.
I'm a little confused by the orientation. So, of course, there is a drug war ongoing in Mexico. It's been going on since you were involved in government. But it's the carnage in the United States that I think most Americans are worried about. So you just described Mexico as a friendly country, and we need to help Mexico get the drug cartels under control because they're killing people in Mexico. But they're also killing hundreds of thousands of people here, and nobody seems to care. So we can argue about, what the policy solutions are, but it's the emphasis that I think is very striking to a lot of voters. Like, where's the outrage? 100,000 people die of poison sent through Mexico, and we call them a friendly country? I don't understand.
They're not. That's not a friendly country.
Well, you haven't been to my town hall meetings, which.
No.
Yeah, no, because if there were anything done at those town hall meetings, we might have some sort of clue as to what we have to do, and we don't. So no, they're not worth going to.
But I'm offering you a chance.
In which I talk about the fentanyl crisis in our cities. And Tucker, you're absolutely right. Whenever I have a friend that I call up who's in New York City, but he's from Arkansas, and I call him up, talk about a political question, my campaign actually, and I said, what are you doing in New York? And he said, my son, who is a college-age student, went to go watch a baseball game in New York. He goes out in the street, as he should not have done, and he bought a Percocet pill.
Yes.
And the Percocet pill was laced with fentanyl. And he overdosed.
But remember, guys, this doesn't happen. This isn't a thing that's happening. No one is lacing any drugs with fentanyl.
Died, and so the dad was there to pick up and recover the body. And so fentanyl is a crisis. It's the.
But it's not enough of a crisis for you to pull off of dick waving at China over, right?
Number one cause of death between.
You know what, Nanya? That's a good point. Our government's track record in dealing with guerrilla fighting doesn't raise my hopes. Okay, yeah. No, you got it. It's a fair point. That's a very fair point, yeah.
Those ages 18 and 49 in America. So it is a crisis. It is serious, and it has to be addressed both with going after the cartels, controlling the border, but it's also about what Governor Kim Reynolds did here in Iowa and had a fentanyl conference, which I attended, in which parents who had been impacted were trying to educate others about the danger of illicit drugs, particularly fentanyl, and how they can be laced with other drugs. That's the kind of education effort we need here. It's about addiction counseling as well, and families struggle with this. I've struggled with this. And so, yes, it is something that I take very, very seriously.
Yes.
I'm passionate about. I'm outraged about.
Amen.
Yeah, but not enough to actually do anything about it. I'm passionate about this and I'm outraged about this, but I ain't going to do nothing about it.
When you pray, what do you pray for?
You know, great
Better comes
question. I heard your interview. It was really
perfectly cooked steak.
great today with Bob Vanderplatz, and I saw that you got to Deuteronomy.
Yeah, I've only gotten there, but I'm pretty psyched for Judges, I'll tell you that.
When you get to James, you asked me what I prayed for. There you go, Bob. I pray for wisdom. In James, it talks about, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not. And that's the old King James Version.
Sam, I have a Witcher dono here. I think the Christmas Witcher donation might be a little bit better than the regular one. I think it might be just a little bit better.
I know. And upbraideth not is like a child that's coming to a parent and saying, can I have something, and you fuss at them. God never fusses at us or upbraids us for asking for wisdom. So I pray for two things. One, that I'll be a good steward of God's blessings to me,
yes,
which are the opportunities in public service. And secondly, that he'll give me
So are you going to actually do that?
wisdom. And there's human wisdom that understands the affairs of man that Daniel and David were so wise in. But then there's also the eternal wisdom, the wisdom that we can see our lives through the lens of eternity and recognize that the votes that I cast, the vetoes that I do, it's not just a matter of accountability in history or with your constituents, but we're accountable.
You think so too? It's super late in the show, and I know we're probably not going to see it, but if anyone's not familiar with it, I think the Christmas Witcher is a little bit better. I pray for everyone to have a safe and happy life, except the Dutch. They know what they did.
As believers in eternity. And so I ask for the wisdom to have an eternal perspective, the biblical worldview that's important to me, that I learned at Bob Jones University, that I learned at the Religious Freedom Conference at the University of Notre Dame, in which Francis Schaeffer spoke. And I put that into practice in my life as a young lawyer before I was the youngest U.S. attorney. We started a Christian radio station, first FM radio station in Bentonville, Arkansas, in which we had James Dobson, we had John MacArthur, Chuck Swindoll on there. We believed in that Christian ministry in our community. We started a Christian school before school choice was the movement of the country, because I wanted to make sure my children had those different options. And so that's how I put wisdom to apply in my life personally, but also in the public arena.
That's the best thing to pray for. I appreciate it. Thank you, Governor. Great to see you.
I got to say one more.
Yes, please.
Oh, boy.
All right, I heard you say, Bob, that I can do this. First of all, I want to congratulate Governor Reynolds and the legislature for the heartbeat bill that's going to be signed today. Arkansas has been ranked as the #1 pro-life state in the nation. I'm proud of that. We want to protect the unborn child. But I also wanted to say that all kinds of people here with different backgrounds, you've got different candidates as a favorite. I want to get on the debate stage. I think you want a robust debate. I want the people of Iowa to make the first cut on who's going to be the presidential nominee. And so help us get on the debate stage. My website is asa2024.com.
Okay, fuck your show. Mine are better. And just like that. Having religion is like having a cock. It's great until you whip it out and start waving it at everybody. Oh, God. What a wonderful note to end this show on. Thank you, Doomhammer. And guys, thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you for an incredible show tonight. We went over just a little bit. That's fine. This is only part 1. I think we have 3 more of these, and Tucker gave a speech that I want to cover. I know Miss Sin wants to do a midweek Chantel catch-up stream, so we're going to try to do that. We have content out the wazoo for you. Guys, thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you for an incredible show. Keep an eye out for the AAA meeting tomorrow, and I will see you all then. Good night, everybody.